Hello, welcome pen friends. My name is Chris and I'm back with another singles ink profile. Today we're looking at Taccia Momo. It's pink. It's a nice bright pink, kind of in line with Diamine Hope Pink, but I really love this ink, so I hope you'll enjoy seeing what I found out about it. And first, I just thought I would, for anybody who doesn't know, I just got done reviewing 7 of the Taccia inks, and that's what got me onto this kick. I love this ink brand. It came in the Ink Journal Ink Flight box for January 2019. And so after exploring all 7 of those samples, I wanted everything I could get by this company. So here we are. We're looking at this pink today. Let's put it in the bath test. I like to see how each one does when it's submerged in the water. And we'll check back in on that later. The last ink profile I did was Platinum Violet, and you can just barely see where you can still read it, but it definitely was typical fountain pen ink that mostly vanished in the water test. So there's that. So let's get right into the Rhodia Gold book. This is my ink journal. It gives me a permanent record of everything that I'm testing. Here's the chromatography on Taccia Momo. It was pretty straightforward. It didn't have any complexity really, but it was nice to see that anyway. Okay, so here we are. All of this page here. I put it on a little sample of Tomoya River paper. And I did notice that picked up an extra place that I found you could get it from Dromgools here in Texas. And they have a website too. But I got my sample from Pen Chalet. And I got a 4 ml sample, so I'm really excited because I've got enough in there. I guess I've used a whole mill already, but that's typical because I've been in and out of 3 different pens. So, okay, so here it is in the broad nib, the Serendipity with a broad Yowo nib, and then I switched down into the Lamy fine nib, and I found that it just looked really good in either one. These inks, you know, I can really confidently say they're all very saturated, and they all flow beautifully from the pens, and that's what's made me fall in love with the whole ink brand. So then I moved down here and I did a little bit with the Moonman Mini glass nib, and it didn't act the way the Violet did. It didn't actually bleed through or act. It might have just a little. Let's turn back and see. You know, it tried to in one spot, and I don't even know if you can see that. So it tried to bleed through just a little, but it didn't. Like over here, this was the Violet. A whole bunch of different purples bled through. So that's just a note. And then we'll see this in a little bit, but some really awesome gold sheen appeared on one of my notebooks, the CVS Caliber notebook, the cheapest notebook. Can you believe it? It did have a gold sheen that was real subtle on the Tomoya River paper and on the Clairefontaine, but I really had to look for it on that, so that was really something. So let's go right into the other notebooks. I think you'll be interested to see what I found out. So, you know, I did this the other day. This is the CVS Caliber paper in the little notebook. It's very inexpensive. It's paper that's made in Vietnam. And then I had to do it again because I liked seeing how that highly saturated violet ink worked. So I wanted to see the Taccia, and I'm hoping you can see that gold sheen that appears. I mean, that just surprised me because I didn't see it like that on the Tomoya River paper. And what it is about this paper, I love these little notebooks for taking quick notes, and I love to be able to know that my fountain pens will be okay on it. Like, I don't have to like think, okay, what you know, pen am I using? Is this going to bleed through? So, you know, if you turn it back over, it did bleed through where I used a paintbrush, but, you know, who does that? It didn't bleed through in the broad nib or anything like that. So, this was the broad Serendipity pen with the Yowo nib, and then down here just a little bit with the Lamy fine nib. And I just, you know, I found that gold sheen to be really interesting, that it appeared that way. I mean, that's something that I don't normally see. Anyway, I like these little notebooks, but I do recognize that some of the inks get all like muted by it, but not this one. This has got enough saturation to go around. So it wasn't the case. Okay, so here we're going to hop into the Nemesine notebook, one that came in an ink flight box. And I was feeling all Valentine-y because of all this pink everywhere all over my desk. So I made a little, you know, a little heart. But the sheen, you know, there is gold sheen there, but it's hard to pick up. Maybe you can see it. Here and there where the ink laid down heavily, there is some. So in art, I think that would be really fun. And again, always in this notebook, for some peculiar reason, I grabbed the Moonman Mini glass nib. It kind of gives me the feel for what a medium nib would be like, and it's quick to dip and clean up. I guess that's the reason I do it. And I'm already looking forward to next Thursday, to the Valentine plan. I'm going to eat fish. I'm going to have a cheap meal. Not a cheap day, a cheap meal on my low carb there and intermittent fasting. I never cheat on the fasting aspect, though. Okay, so Cafe Note by Nanami Paper Company with 7 mil lines in it. Did I say yeah, Nanami Paper Company, Tomoya River paper. Here we are in here, and on this side it's the broad nib. Oops. Maybe if I hold still. And then on this side it's the Lamy fine nib. And I do, you know, I see that drop down in saturation on this paper, but it doesn't bother me. It still flowed really well, and it still can be seen, I think. So I was excited about this. This ink, you know, pink is not my absolute favorite, but I do love pink. So I was really pleased with it. So let's see. Let's get on to the other paper samples, because that'll give us some more regular, or, you know, paper that some of us are likely to use. Okay, here's the Tomoya River paper 52 gram, the white paper. It's going to be a little harder to show you that gold sheen. Maybe you may catch it. It's just very, very, very subtle. And I lay the ink on the same way with the exact same paintbrush. So I can't explain why it did so well on that cheap CVS caliber paper, but it did. So here it is in the broad nib on that Tomoya River paper. And here it is on the Lamy, in the Lamy fine nib. Really pleased with that. I would write a letter with either one and not feel like I was, you know, like sometimes in a fine nib on Tomoya River paper, I'm not too happy. But with these inks, with every single one of the Tasha inks, I've been writing quite a few letters with this Tasha ink. Those of you that are pen pals are going to see that. So here's the Rhodia dot grid 80 gram on white. And no gold sheen or anything. In fact, it significantly changed that pink look. It looks pinker on the Tomoya River. This is Tomoya River here. And then it kind of, I don't know, it even reddened a little bit over here. So that could have something to do with the thickness of how much ink went on there. I don't know. But here it is in the broad nib and in the Lamy fine nib. And again, a great writing experience. Oh, I should be turning these over. I'm seeing, you know, bleed through quite often where I lay it on heavy with a paintbrush. Let's just go back and look. Yeah, even on the Tomoya River, this ink does bleed through with a paintbrush. Okay, and then let's go on to Clairefontaine 90 gram French ruled paper. There it is. And, you know, I saw a variety here where it still maintained its pinkness. It gave some nice gold sheen where it was on real heavy. Oops, and it's very hard for me to show you, but every once in a while you'll get a glimmer, probably by accident. Okay, so there's the broad nib and the Lamy fine nib, and it was quite pleasing on this paper. Okay, let's turn it over. Just a slight bit of bleed through. The Clairefontaine doesn't, you know, that's some pretty hardy paper. Okay, next is the newcomer, but definitely a new favorite of mine, the Hamelin Optic 90 gram paper that pen friend Brian sent me sample of. Okay, here it is, and on here there's a little bit of gold sheen. You can catch it if the light, you know, it needs that natural light or some kind of light to hit it. And I thought it looked pleasing on here, and it was nice and smooth. This is a really nice paper. It is 90 gram. It feels similar. It's somewhere in between the Clairefontaine and the Rhodia, I think. It's right in between. But, you know, it's nice that it's bright white because everything kind of shows true to what it looks like. You don't have to worry about that cream color distorting things. Okay, and again, the only bleed through, that down there was some, like, some from the letter, I think. Because I could see it says, "Hi, Chris." But this was where I painted on the swatch, so. Okay, 2 more, and then we're through that part. Okay, here's the Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid. It kind of flattened out on there when you know, painted on a swatch. But that's pretty typical. This is a little bit more thirsty paper. So here it is in the broad nib and the Lamy fine nib. And then it wants to bleed through that, but it just does a little bit of it. Kind of a, you know, just dots through. And nothing bled through on the broad nib, so that was good. Okay, so last but not least, Office Depot College ruled paper. The most, other than the CVS Caliber paper, this is the most economical or cheaper paper. And here it is. It flattens out on that too. It just, you know, stays pretty solid pink. You don't see a lot of variation. Here it is in the broad nib and in the Lamy fine nib. Okay, let's turn it over. The only bleed through is just where I laid it on with the paintbrush. So that's I'm gonna be like a broken record, but all right. Let's look at how this ink compared. I don't have that many pink inks, but I have some. Let's glance in on this. Let's see. Okay, so it's doing one of those numbers where it blurred up a lot and you can still kind of read it. It may stay that way. I'm not sure. As soon as I finish the video, when I start cleaning up, I take them out. So they have approximately the same amount of time each time. Okay, but let's look. The panel's only 6 today because I don't have very many pinks. And one of the reasons for that is that I really like Diamine Hope Pink. And I almost felt like I didn't need to go beyond that for a bright pink, for a neon pink. And I do like neon pink, neon orange, bright blue, like, you know, like these scissors, you know, like I like those brights. I really do. And purple, violet, that kind of thing. So I hadn't really explored pink very much. And you guys probably have a lot better idea of more pinks that would match in with this Taccia Momo or even with the Diamine Hope Pink. I haven't purchased a bottle of any of these except for Lamy Vibrant Pink. I like the, you know, I like that. I hadn't had any Lamy in a bottle, so $12 I think it was, or, you know, I thought, well, let's do this, you know. And I do like the Lamy Vibrant Pink, but it doesn't fulfill that bright pink. It just, to me, it's beautiful in its own right, but it doesn't really compare with these two. So, but this is all I had, and really these aren't, the Diatremendous Apple Blossom is like way out there, and Caran d'Ache Divine Pink, you know, it's called pink, but it's much more red, so, and the, you know, Noodler's Base Date Cranberry is similar, but it's different, and I can't find the words to describe it, really. But you can kind of tell by the composition better that it's more toward red than pink in some ways. So it's very confusing. But anyway, I love doing this. This is fun to look at on my desk. And all morning with all this pink all around me, it's been really cheerful. So, okay, let's see what happened when I did the, you know, visual journal. Just, you know, got in here and played around with this color. So this was the second one, I think. I started with the one down here, and I really almost threw this away, but then I thought, well, you know, that's just how it is. I don't always like how they come out, but I could see that, you know, variation in the pink, and I don't like that one. But anyway, I like this one and this one better, but it was very interesting because I decided to try to do some, you know, like highlighting, I guess, dotting as it was drying up here. And there's slight bits of sheen on there, but you can't, it's not like dramatic or anything. It's just sort of there, but it doesn't shine really. And then this was just where instead of, I just put the water all over and then dotted down the ink. And, you know, it's very pleasing. It's pink and everything, but these are not like, say, Murasaki, Tasha Murasaki. Now that I could do all day long. You know, I'm like a kid. I I could look at that all day because I love that variation and stuff. So we just have to keep in mind that they're all different. And that's one of the reasons I show you this, because if you do art and you like to see which ones have the complexity, I think this shows us that. So, okay, I got just one more thing. So we're waiting for the next, well, not waiting, it's definitely not late or anything, waiting for the next ink flight. So in the meantime, I have another Tasha ink that I'll be working on next. Probably not in a big rush because I'm not going to want to clean this pink out of my pen, but it always happens. I've been doing it. And you know, I've got a whole bunch of, I think they're, oh gosh, what are they? Genhao 599s that are identical, that if I could get the nibs in good enough, smooth enough shape, I might be able to, you know, compare several. But that's a project because I like smooth nibs. And so, anyway, right now, this poor Vista is getting used and cleaned out every 3 days or so because of my reviews. So, this is the next one, Tasha Orange. I'm not sure how they pronounce that. And I love orange too. It's another one of those bright colors that I love. And right away I think of Diamine Pumpkin because I like that ink too. But I have a feeling that this is going to flow better than Diamine Pumpkin. But I'm going to want to find out. I really am. So, because I have just a little bit and a tiny little bottle left of that. So I will see you back here very soon. And I would just love to hear, you know, do you like pink? Do you care for someone who likes pink? If you do, she or he would probably really love this Taccia Momo. It's gorgeous. There's no question about it in my mind. But let me know. Maybe you have a pink that I've never seen, and I would... you know, one of those little ink samples would just hop right into my cart next time I place a small order. So, I will see you next time, and thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.